what that means? You say everything he does is the same.
Yeah, so he has a hard time coping with situations, and when he has a hard time coping, he copes even worse, and he tries to find a temporary solution that will make things worse, to make the pain go away right then, but it will make the problem bigger.
Okay.
Even if it's just homework, doing homework, making it go away by not doing it and doing something that will take the pain of the idea away, then further on he's faced with something bigger which he really can't handle, so he'll push it more away, and then he'll try to cope in a different mechanism until it becomes too big, and then he's really...
Does he have favorite coping mechanisms?
A classical one is screens.
Sure.
Which we try not to do because it's not really, I feel, a coping.
No.
It's an escape.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's gonna get some pages.
Yeah. So anything that increases. Luckily, he does want to see friends sometimes, which is a mixture of a coping and a need. So it's an enhancing thing, and his coping mechanism. And I think feeling connected will make him do better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, we live in a world where whenever someone makes a mistake, we remove the connection away from them, right? And they do it out of behaviorism, thinking that will change things. And
so why do you say that? What examples are you drawing from? That when there's a mistake, we take the connection away?
You have them skip recess.
Okay.
That's a classical example.
Mm-hmm.
You isolate them at the back of the room because they've been bad, right?
Standing in the corner.
You have them stand in the corner, and you say, who does it? Well, my son's school doesn't stand them in the corner, but they have a desk at the back in the corner with a screen. So
that's even worse.
It's a dunce desk, right? I mean, they honestly, they mean well, okay? And I
they're
understand.
solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement.
I spent half of my 4th grade year in the corner.
What good does it do?
Taught me what resentment means.
Right, exactly. So one thing that I did over here, these were rat studies, but did you see this movie?
No.
This is a fantastic movie, 3 Identical Strangers. It's 3 twins are born, and because of a horrible thing, an experiment that they did, they actually put them at birth in 3 different families because of an experiment. It's a horrible thing that they did it for that way. But anyway, it turns out that they put them in 3 totally different families, even though they were genetically the same. Authoritarian family, normal family, more jovial, jolly family. Authoritarian family commits suicide. The middle one is fine but very serious, and the jovial one, he gets overweight, but he's the happiest of them all. And this tells you where you want to make your brain function on a brain that's different, it will not work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all you'll get is this, and this is going to lead down the wrong path. But it's very hard not to do it.
Uncovering assumptions is a big theme of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like this separating from community.
Yeah.
The threat of ostracism is real.
It's real.
And why do we think it's a good idea to get people to start, maybe probe that? It's like, why do you think it's a good idea?
I think the people think it's a good idea because it works in neurotypical people. It works on them.
Okay.
And studies show that it does work on some people.
Mm-hmm.
They don't stratify the people according to their problems. So yes, if you isolate, if you threaten me, I'll be a good girl, right? You threaten my kid, the house will be on fire.
Right.
So we act differently, but because evidence-based shows that this works, right?
Okay.
On those 10 neurotypical kids.
No, that's a good example. Thank you for that. Because my go-to is with things like that is that it's a story and someone told it to you, probably many times, and you believed it.
And
because
also, but everybody believes. Look at all the people in recovery. They swear by the process by which they reached sobriety, right? If it's 12-step, they will swear by it. If it's, I have met very few people who say, not everything works on everyone. Some people say, no, you have to be 12-step and that's the way it is,
It's funny, I saw Lori shift
really?
over a couple of years. She was really hardcore 12-step
Right.
and then soften, is like, well, okay, it worked for me. Don't know what's going to work for you. And
but she softens for herself or for others? I'm asking because I don't know about like harm reduction, right? Harm reduction is something that you can't talk about to someone who did 12 steps.
Right. I've heard her talk about it too.
I have.
And I've seen it kind of in the personal way of like, oh, wow, maybe I was thinking wrongly about this.
But would she ever take a little bit of drugs or drink a little bit? You see, that's the thing.
Maybe not for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it works in theory, but I'll never do it because I fully believe in 100% abstinence.
Sure. It could be.
I mean, I think if you're there, you better stay there. Don't risk it, right? I would never
I don't know what will wake up the fiend,
right.
But I don't want to find it.
Right, exactly. Because it could be too big, and then you don't want to deal with it, right? And it makes
so
no
we
sense.
started off with the providers working with your son.
Yeah.
Believe self-esteem is around fun, and they're having a hard time understanding like acts of service and stuff.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit? Maybe that's it.
I can. Can I just? I wanted
sure.
to finish this one. You know how you were saying that this is the old thing that we said, but now if you actually give them treats and toys or remove chores or work if they do good behavior or if you punish, an overwhelming amount of evidence shows that it's actually causes the opposite, and you know that, right? Okay, this is one book, Punished by Rewards, that it explains it. So if you do a creative or meaningful act and you reward it, they will not do the creative meaningful act unless they get a reward. So the act itself loses value, right? And that happens. But another thing about
can I see one more?
The book?
Yeah. You've spoken on this before, right? Is this the video you were trying to find?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And then, so it's a question of skill, not will. That's my big thing. So let's say this seems to work, right? And it does sometimes work to motivate kids, to give them treats, toys, iPad, whatever, okay? Let's say you have a chart like this where all the kids get stars and your kid isn't getting any stars, like it happened to my kid, okay? What do you think my kid would do? Oh, yeah, I really want to work harder to get those stars? No, he got that chart and ripped it all up and then got even accused of destroying school property, right?
That's not funny.
This works on neurotypical people who get motivated by how other people do, but not on people who would like to, but just simply don't have the skills. And we assume that they don't have the skills because they don't have the motivation, but it's not a question of motivation, it's a question of skills. They don't like the skills. So just like you would not give a candy to a dyslexic kid every time they write the word well, because that's not going to teach them how to write it well, you're not going to give a candy to a kid who misbehaves every time they behave well, because that's not going to teach them how to behave well. Right. The mistake is in assuming that they don't behave well because they don't want to. It's just because they can't. It's a question of skill, not will, right? And so what we do is we set them up for failure. We dangle this carrot in front of them that they absolutely cannot reach, right?
Yeah, this is... Okay, so I've got this in my own head, working out because I was always told and encouraged to do better.
Yeah.
It's backfired. That no matter what I do, I'll never be good enough
to do it.
So there's this impossible goal.
Impossible
that I
goal.
just, well, screw it then.
And then screw it. It's called the what the fuck effect, right?
It is. And I think this is a characterization of our society, basically. We've got this American dream allure.
Right.
Gen X started calling BS on it. It's getting more and more all the time. Like, no, it's empty. And it's doing this to us.
It's doing this to us, right?
Take a picture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Come on. Okay.
And then, if this doesn't work, you try this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is not allowed much anymore, but isolation is,
Mm-hmm.
and removing good things are. So you'll see, refused to work after recess, chose to go back on red level, meaning dunce corner, instead of doing his work. Chose it.
Mm-hmm.
Chose it. You see? So then they get punished, right?
Yeah.
And so I have shown before with rat studies that all these things prime the brain for addiction. So you're making it even worse. Instead, all of this would make it better, but it's removed. So
Right.
you add alcohol on the fire,
Mm-hmm.
and you remove anything that would quench the fire, right?
I saw a little article. There's a town in Texas, and small town, and they just completely reinstated recess across the board, and their discipline problems went away.
Yeah.
Their ADD
Yes,
almost
of course.
went away.
Right. This is another book, The Explosive Child and Lost at School, that I really love. It's a way of solving problems together.
Mm-hmm.
I can describe it. So they still have insight, I believe. They just can't do it. I don't know if you've ever read this book. It's by someone here.
From retribution to public safety.
And he says, American criminal has been characterized by one thing, tough punishment. Why does it not change behavior? I mean, you could read it yourself. Yeah.
Come on, focus. You can do it. Move further. Yeah, it's not gonna get it. I'll try.
Got it? Oh, you know what? I could do. How about this? Is it bigger?
It is bigger. This is, what is contour light?
I don't know.
The camera's very fancy.
Did you read this that he wrote?
Right, that's what I was trying to get.
Oh,
To
yeah,
address
yeah.
mental illness, abstinence due to incarceration is not substance abuse treatment. Punishment does nothing to mitigate the effects of trauma on cognitive dysfunction.
I mean, he's pretty eloquent in that.
Tonight, I'm going to have a conversation with a group of men at a new entry, and me and a friend we're going to be talking about trauma.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. And so,
Hopefully
if we
we'll
go
be
back
listening
to this,
mostly
this
about
is the
trauma.
support group I'm in, okay? You're housing sick kids together that have no internal drive. It comes to you can lead the horse to water. Those who don't desire to heal. It drives me crazy. It's like your carrot, right? You can never reach it. You give up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no way he can learn if he doesn't experience a consequence. The parents are just enabling. They should just stop helping him out. He should experience living out in the streets, and then he might start learning. Psychiatrist.
Oh.
Yes. One of the providers. So when you do that, then you ask this kid to write a poem. I am a student. I wonder if I can become a police officer. I hear sirens. I see cop cars. I want a cop car. I am a student. I pretend I am an officer. I feel the hood of the cop car. I touch the cop car. I worry that I'm not going to be an officer. I cry when I'm hurt. I am a student. I understand that I'm going to be a cop. I say that I'm going to be a cop. I dream to be a cop. I try my best. I hope nothing. I mean, that's the result, right?
Oh. Yes. Wow.
I think this is powerful, no?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's a very nice presentation.
Mm. So I think that's why we think things work, but they don't work. And this is another paper, Shame Mediates the Relationship Between Depression and Addictive Behaviors. And where did we figure out, as you say, that shame, you have to suffer in order to get better. You know, you have to feel bad about yourself in order to get better. You have to hit rock bottom. You know, you have to feel a loser in order to, you know, where did we get that?
I don't know. And that one's a pretty deep one.
Yeah.
You know, would Buddha have attained enlightenment if he did not witness the suffering of his people?
I don't know.
Every mystic person who's ever died there's this, and it's the yin and yang and the heaven and hell and this duality that we just have been straddled with forever. Pain and pleasure come out of the same place in our brain.
Right.
I don't know that, I mean, if that one's a story, it's pretty deep.
Yeah.
But we're starting to get the pieces of it, and I'll look for that one. Because I know that people who have been in recovery for a little while, they all learn sooner or later that to stay sober, you've got to deal with shame. And recognize that it's there, it's been there, it doesn't have to be there, all that stuff.
But I understand that you deal with it, but for people to imposing it, into creating it in order for someone to be better, does that make sense? I don't know. Why I mean...
I think it's like you said, it worked.
It works for some.
For some. But now the atypical are no longer hidden as much as they used to be, and there's more of them.
There are more of them. I don't know why, but there are. I remember in graduate school, they always told me, we have to break you before we can recreate you, pretty much, right? And even in a lot of support groups I hear, they have to break people and their self-esteem before they're willing to accept for help, because they're feeling that this is creating a barrier between them receiving help if they feel so cocky about it, right?
You know,
so,
I don't know. I've experienced it a little bit both ways, but mostly the breaking and then fixing.
Yeah.
And my personal experience and in facilitating others, there is value to that triggering. And it doesn't have to be a breaking so much.
Right.
But
why not
you
an
get
acceptance?
triggered, you get charged, there's fear and anger going on and disrupted. And you get some cognitive dissonance happening.
Yeah.
And that's a good spot. I'm thinking about these men's weekends that I will staff and have gone through. And Friday night is basically get hit in the head with a psychological 2x4. It hits some men harder than others. It hit me pretty hard. And the idea of it is to get you off your guard. Because the thing that motivated the person to actually come to this weekend might not actually be showing up that night.
Yes.
It might be being careful and guarded and okay.
Right.
But we gotta trigger that and remember, why are you here?
Right.
Something wasn't right.
Sure.
So kind of reminding of that. And I have heard stories of guys who leave before Sunday, and it's not good. But they need the other side. I don't know the answer, and I'm not swearing by it. I've seen it work on all kinds of people.
Right.
And I remember hearing Ivana talk about this, the AA adage of, well, they're not done yet.
Yeah,
and, oh, God, it was impassioned. She's like, bullshit.
Okay.
She completely called it. So.
Yeah. But I think it maybe comes to the fact that you're only willing to accept yourself in some cases if you're really desperate, and that's what they're trying to do. But maybe there are other better ways, right?
Right. And that's what I want to explore, and ideally describe some ways to bring it into schools.
Right. I mean, I firmly believe that the way schools are now, which function on having fun, on making everything fun, is not necessarily the right way. I'm not saying they have to suffer, but the ultimate goal is not fun. And
why do you say that they focus so much on fun?
Well, it looks like everybody, did you have fun? That's all you can ask someone. And that's, how about, did you do something meaningful today? Were you constructive today? Did you help someone today? That's not a language, right? How was your weekend? Did you have fun? I mean, really, parties are all based on having fun, right? And I think language does a lot. You see things differently according to the way you speak. So if we did introduce this, we might be a little bit more mindful about these things and not be so focused on always having fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you can have a productive life just having fun.
Well, no.
But a lot of people think that.
Do they?
I think so. I think so. My son is thoroughly convinced that in order to be happy in life, you need to have fun, lots of money, and do what the hell you want.
That's never been true for me. I mean, I've had just plain fun. Pleasurable things. But, when it comes to hanging out with my friends, I would rather we do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do that project. And I have more fun interacting with them around that than just sitting around the table.
And that's one thing I told the providers. How about you do a project each time for which you can be proud of at the end, right? And the idea is, yes, but he shouldn't just be proud because he accomplished something. He should just be proud because of himself or who he is. And I understand that, but it's not by playing ball that he'll be,
No,
he's not stupid. He sees that he has nothing,
We were talking about gratitude in the meeting this morning, and a big theme was the action of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
But one person says, if I act like a person who is grateful, I will then become grateful.
Yeah.
If I do things that, and I think he was implying really like acts of service.
Yeah.
That will trigger the gratitude. That it's hard for me to just sit around and be grateful. I have to do something, and it's
I agree.
And it's almost a behaviorist thing. Maybe it's not the right word that we can. It's easier to act my way into new thinking than it is to think my way into new action.
Yeah.
What is that? Do you know?
Yeah. Sure. But I mean, they've shown that if you watch a movie and you force a smile on someone, you'll find it more funny, right? So there is a way to it. If you think of an orphanage, or if you think of a shelter, you think of two different things, although they are the same thing, right? One is the poor abandoned kids that, the other one has become an orphanage now, but early on it was more of a place where you could take care of, nurture kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
More than abandon them. So the words one uses really change what we think of things, right?
Yes. Yeah. Language is huge.
It's huge.
As far as, so there's a story underneath it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on around narrative. That was a big theme when I was in grad school, in museum studies, in pedagogy, what's the narrative of this? And there's the language of that story. Mm-hmm. And to be well, they both have to shift. Mm-hmm. And I took courses that convinced me almost that discourse is reality. Some people claim that, and it's hard to say that they're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Or how you word things is also like passive voice or active. Like women are raped by men, or the woman, men rape women, or the women's were raped. Well, the women's were raped. Doesn't give a culprit so much as men rape. You see, I don't know how to explain it, but
no, I got it.
You talk about
the book. Come on. It'll come to me in a minute. It's a former UT student, Sarah Hepela.
Okay.
Wrote a memoir about her drinking and so forth, and she said, when men get drunk, they do things to the world. Mm-hmm. When women get drunk, the world does things to them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, she was kind of leading into the active passive thing, but she was more like on character.
Yeah.
That men become more aggressive and start changing things.
Yeah.
And women
perceive
let shit happen to them that they otherwise wouldn't let happen.
Yeah.
It was a perception thing.
Yeah. But anyway, so going back to the providers thing that you asked, I think everybody's so focused on the individual and not on realizing that the individual needs to find a meaning in life, and a meaning in life is not just found having fun. You have to feel useful, have a purpose, have connections, and connections don't happen just if it's a one-way street even, right? So
where do you find connection?
Me, I used to find connection when I have colleagues or friends with a high intellect when we talk about things, but that's far gone. I don't have any time for connecting anymore right now, so I don't.
Big work and mom stuff? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
My son is he needs so much care. It's all about him, and it's just difficult. It's like my brain is, Desert Storm has gone by. It's just an empty skull where sand just blows in. It's gone. I knew so much stuff. It's all gone.
I don't think it's gone. You're reminding me of a friend of mine who has an autistic kid who's like 22 now, going on 12. And she's very intellectual, brilliant, knows a lot of stuff, and feels like it's all gone, but it's not. Okay, this went directions I didn't expect, and I'm really glad it did.
Yeah, but one thing that I don't know if your book will have any like biology in it or not, but if it does, I mean, there is biological evidence that the things that we do to improve people, or we think, will actually do worse. Like isolation or stress or punishment. Punishment is stress. I mean.
It may. Can I follow up with you if I go there?
Yeah.
And I don't want to go too far down that road. To me, this is really it's about the story. It's about the narrative, things people can take agency of, and.
So agency. So do you think that people who don't take agency have a problem, like they're in denial?
Do you mean people having an addiction?
Well, even before they get there, because a lot of things brought them there, right? And is it a denial thing that they weren't?
I had a latent denial that I was not going to be my father. I was not like him until I've undeniably found out that I was, and learned that I'd taken on more of his character than I'd wanted to. Not the good stuff. Yes, good stuff, but also bad, the addict, dry drunk kind of thing. I don't really have that judgment that not agency equals denial, or even a problem. I think that an absence of agency is pretty common, in a school system that basically teaches you to believe what you're told, and that performance rating is everything. It's very easy to lose agency in that
asked Zachary, how did it go today? Good, I got 95%. I don't care about the 95%.
I know.
It's all outcome based.
That's something, yes, that was a big theme in education.
Yeah.
And I was suspicious of it right from the beginning, and then I start learning the mythopoetic men's work and recovery, and now we're touching back to ancient wisdom. It was like, it was never about the outcome, guys.
Never.
Why are we doing that?
Right.
What are we hoping to gain?
Yeah.
And in an environment where you've got vertical alignment of content, it makes sense. And I'm just like,
and again, for people like me, that's the only way to, I have no problem with the process, so my outcome is fine. But if I had some problem and I measured just the outcome, I totally would never reach the outcome because the process is not a part of it, right?
No, say that again. I
So
didn't follow.
people like me, I have no problem reaching an outcome.
Okay.
In school.
Okay.
My son does, okay? But because he's so outcome-based, he tries to take shortcuts to get to the same outcome. And he'll never get there but that's his goal, right?
Yeah.
Let's just do the math problem. Just tell me the answer and I'll get it done. I said, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is for you to learn it. No, the point is for me to get it right. I said, no, the point is not for you to get it right, right?
I'm agreeing.
Yeah, he's just totally missing it. But that's how they are evaluated, right? I heard once, but I don't know how true it is.
See, that's the neuroatypical.
Yeah.
They're showing us things.
Right.
They're
right.
calling bullshit on the system, and they're right to do it.
They're right. And they didn't see it before, maybe because they had more normal children in there for which it worked.
Mm-hmm.
I heard, and I don't know how true, that in Google they rate people by how much they help others rather than what they accomplish or something.
I'd heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing.
Wayne
right?
Gretzky.
Yeah,
Most famous hockey player ever.
Uh-huh.
He leads the league in goals by a lot.
Uh-huh.
And he leads the league in assists by far and away more than that.
Huh. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Good example.
I mean, if we have a community, the community will support you, right?
See, I was that person. I had no problem with how school worked.
Yeah.
The outcomes, the getting it right. I could do it. I shaped myself to be able to do that well. And it was here, in looking back on what this education thing is, that I got completely usurped. I was like, that's fucked. I see what it's done to me.
Yeah.
I see what it's doing.
Right.
And we're still doing it.
Right.
That's why I'm doing this.
I know these, what do you like best? Who's your favorite? What's your favorite color? For me, that makes no sense either. I mean, I'm really extreme. What do you mean, what's my favorite colors? I rank colors? There's a best color and a worst color? That's horrible, right?
I'm laughing because this is great. This is not expected.
But that's how society is, right?
What's your favorite color?
What's your favorite food? Why do you need to have a favorite? This already ranks things in a pyramid, and it makes you think that there has to be a pyramid in everything. The best, the worst, and society, friendships, and everything. No, we're all together, you know. I once heard a story about these kids who were told the first one who arrives to the tree will get the chocolate that was put there.
Uh-huh.
And the kids run and they want to be the first, but they did this in Africa, and I don't know how true it is, and all kids held hands and they all ran together, so they all got there together. I mean, that's a society, right? Now, if some of these kids needs help, they will have someone to hold hands with.
Right. There's an old adage, I think it's African.
Yeah.
If you want to run fast, run on your own. If you want to run far, run with others.
That's nice. Right. Yeah. And all this ranking and doing and competition is really a horrible thing that we're doing.
It plays into the deficiency model of education, that there's a standard.
Yeah.
And every student is supposed to reach that standard more or less. And if they don't, this is where it gets devious, it's their fault.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with them.
You know, there are schools where, like, I like Montessori schools for some things, like you put away after you worked with something. Here, their cleaning crew, Mexican cleaning crew comes and cleans up after you, and you leave like a king. You know, that's really not right, right? You have to take care. How much niceness there is in taking care of your stuff, fixing socks, fixing, you spill something, you don't have a cleaning lady do it.
Yeah.
You do it, you know?
Yeah.
Not what do you give me if I do it, which is the mindset now.
Right. I just saw that downstairs. A lady's coffee mug fell out of her bag and spilled a little bit.
Yeah.
And she
just
was going over to she was going over to get towels, but the guy behind the desk was already ahead of her.
Right.
And she insisted a few times. She's like, "No, I got it. It's okay."
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
do you know the
nice.
system of restorative justice?
I'm a little bit familiar, yeah.
I think that might be something useful, because even though there's a type of, some people might see it as a punishment after you did a bad act, it's not. It's that you just hear both people's stories and you make it right for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So and maybe that's something that we don't do enough.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
That it's getting more traction in elementary schools.
Yeah.
I learned most about it from Austin Discovery School.
Okay. And do you think they use it?
They do.
Okay.
They do, regularly and often. And they've even got some floor mats that they designed, like for young students to do this. Like they stand on opposite edges of the thing, and then they take a step, and each time they step closer, they say something.
Okay.
It's kind of scripted.
Yeah.
And then it gets less scripted by the time they're face to face and they're being honest. So it gives structure to that. Yeah, I think it needs more. I mean, it's difficult. We're not allowed to exercise our own parsimony on people. It's like, this works for you, but it doesn't work for you. That's okay.
Yeah.
I trust you. I don't trust you. Well, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
We have to do it all the same.
Right.
And it's because of, racism and misogyny and prejudice and all this stuff. It's like, well, no, your judgment's terrible.
Right.
So you don't get to do this. And that's where I think blanket punishment comes from. That everybody gets the same punishment.
Right.
That still has a place.
Right. And it feels fairer.
It does, but like the, minimum sentencing laws that are popular in some states, especially around drugs and things, judges hate them, from what I understand. Like, no, I need to meet this person.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I have to give a sentence, but it needs to fit.
Right,
It needs to give them something to think about.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things. I'm glad you mentioned the color.
Yeah.
Of subtle, simple things that have real consequences.
I think so.
That people just don't pause to think about.
And
if I hadn't gone through school, I wouldn't be thinking about that stuff.
And the classical one is, did you have fun? I can't stand that. I can't stand that one.
You're reminding me of a great aunt. Well, no, my mother's cousin, actually. Name's Dee. She lives in New York. And she used to ask that. That was her question.
Did you have fun?
Yeah. Although she explained it, though, there was more to it. It was she knows life is difficult, and there's a whole lot of not fun.
Yeah.
It's like, so did you find some of that? Did you find some joy in what you were doing? Right.
That's different.
So it was a sweet way of asking the same question. And I'll probably bring that in, maybe, I don't know, but I love it, because it kind of doesn't matter. Who'd you help today? That's a way better question.
Right, yeah. Or there are quite a few, and I don't have them in my head now, but yeah.
Okay. Well, if there's something that came up for you along the way, I'm enjoying this a lot, and I don't know how long we've gone on.
You probably used up all your...
It's almost an hour.
Wow, okay.
I wasn't recording the whole time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I hope, and I said, I have ideas, but of course they're just ideas, That doesn't mean that they will work,
Like what?
Like inserting acts of kindness. But again, if they're not done in a natural way, they're forced, and that doesn't work either. But at least you can think about it, Well,
that's okay too. At least, in the rooms of recovery.
Yeah.
Like, one thing they talk about is practicing acts of kindness where no one sees it.
Yes, right.
And you don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
You could tell your sponsor. And it does a couple things. One, just gets you in that mindset of being of help to people, being useful. But the other is that it kind of helps remove that awkwardness of like, I want to do this kind thing for you, but you might not want it at all. And this could be really awkward. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. That sometimes it's going to be awkward, and we learn how to do it better. I don't know.
What method did you use? Was it 12-step?
It was. That's how I got started. Kinda. I went through a Mankind Project initiation in December 2008, and I got sober in February of 2012. So I'd had some real visceral and transformative experiences already, but the drinking got much worse, and I was like, okay, I gotta stop. I have to stop. And then I went through the steps.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't as powerful to me because I'd already done stuff like that.
Right.
But I'm learning more and more about them as I go along, and they are really interesting tools on how to deal with life, and even just a simple shift of language.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1, 2, 3 is about powerlessness, accepting a higher power, and letting that higher power help you. That's great if you are desperate bottom out.
Right.
And probably a man, or at least an American or something, because that powerlessness is really subtle. Another way to look at it is like, in this moment, are you not okay?
Right.
Is something wrong? Okay, cool. Do you think you can get better?
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to ask for and accept help?
That sounds better.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that
it's
sounds
and it's
better.
the same thing. It's
but
about
I can't
releasing.
stand the way it's worded. I really can't. And the higher power. And but it doesn't have to be. But still.
You know, for 1935, it was very progressive and insightful.
But that's why I have providers say he doesn't accept help. He doesn't want to change. Because that's what they think. If you're not willing to accept help, it's because you don't want to change. It's just, no, you're just stuck right now, okay? It's not that. And it's also, you don't know how to. It's scary. It's 1,000 things.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of sponsorship 101. If you got somebody who's stuck and having a hard time, it's like, go find someone to help.
Yeah.
An old lady crossed the street. I don't care. Anything's
Right.
like, no, I'm a mess. I know. You go help somebody.
Yeah. How about dialectical behavioral therapy? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know much about it. I want to look into it.
They do add it to some rehab places now, and I don't know if there's much evidence for it working. A lot of,
I like the title
Yeah.
because my dissertation was around dialectic in a group classroom environment. So I assume they're leveraging the same meaning.
Maybe, I don't know. But there's several aspects. The real program is 1 year long. You need to go 3 times a week, have a coach, a group meeting, but now people do it. They use the techniques and, do it differently.
I'd like to read up on it.
Yeah.
Although for this book, one of the messages is about story, language, and incorporating simple but really potent practices of things that are essential for people in recovery, but they're old wisdom that we've kind of forgotten. And show people, it's like, we all can agree that this is good stuff, but look what we're not doing, and look at the consequences.
Yeah. I mean, I do every month. I'm going this Sunday. I go under the bridge to help the homeless with this group, Austin Humanists at Work, and I go with Zachary. He doesn't want to go, but he does like it after all, and then we talk about, to see that person, how happy they were that, they got, I brought, one of them had a dog, I bought them a dog harness because they wanted a dog harness, and he hands out certain foods or stuff, it is nice.
What bridge?
Under I-35 and 7th Street, right there. Yeah.
There's something going on under Ben White.
Oh, I don't know.
There's construction under the bridge.
Oh, I don't know.
I hope they're doing something for the homeless people.
Oh.
I really hope that's what it is.
Yeah, there's so many of them. And once I wanted to interview one of them because they were talking about one of them that couldn't be there today because she had relapsed, and the police had gotten her. I said, I'm giving a public talk. Can I interview? Oh, no. I don't want anyone to know that I know anything about drugs or they could put me in jail. I said, wow.
Who is this person?
A homeless guy.
Oh, wow.
Apparently having drugs is, you get arrested for it here, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, officially, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know, but he was so scared when I even mentioned it, like, no, don't tell anyone that I know anything about drugs because then I would get arrested. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know if it was his own fear, but yeah.
I don't know. Well, thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, I hope prevention would make more sense, right?
Right, and I've got an email to send. I just cannot remember her name. I just gotta look up the poster, and she's got research on it. And there's already some games being played in school that are very close to it. And it's like the ounce of prevention thing.
Right.
And it's like, well, this is what this is, and just show people. It's like, guys, it's not.
Yeah,
You
and
can
prevention.
do the most meaningful prevention.
Yeah.
You don't even say drugs.
No, I don't exactly that. So I've asked about what are the prevention programs here, and they're like Phoenix House does one where they go once a week and they teach people what drugs do to you. I'm not talking about that at all.
I think there's a place for direct.
Sure.
Well, what are you talking about? What are you saying?
Well, connection. Having a connection, feeling loved by people, feeling that someone believes in you, even just one person,
I'm really glad you reminded me. I hadn't forgotten, but there's so many things happening, and I need to pull it down.
And once you write the book, will you try to publish it?
Absolutely.
How? How does one publish?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, one is there's the literary agent route for non-fiction books.
Okay.
That's one way to go. There's self-publication ways that,
a lot of people
have done crowdfunding to just hire a printer and do it.
Okay. And then you put it like on Amazon or something.
That involves definitely hiring an editor.
Okay.
I have one in mind, but I haven't talked to her about it. She edited my dissertation.
Okay.
So those are two routes. And the
And
literary agent way the author can actually get paid. Because if they think the book will sell enough.
And how do you find a literary agent? I'm asking because I always wanted to write a book, but I never had anything to write about, and now I have something to write about. So that's why.
I talked to Hamilton Beasley about it, but he wasn't
Who is that?
crystal clear around.
I don't know who Hamilton.
He's an author.
Okay.
He's been in recovery a long time. He was chair of the University High School board for a while. I met him through someone else a few years ago, and he shared that with me. And I don't know. I mean,
Are you affiliated with UT?
I'm a guest researcher.
Because I wonder if they have ways. I know now they have this scholarship where someone wants to write a book. They give you a coach or something.
Just for students?
I don't know.
I want to pause this.
Oh, so I thought you had.